Title Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as specified in the act. Proper notice of this public meeting was provided in the notice of January 5th, 2015. Said notice was posted at the entrance of the board, education offices, mailed to the Nutley Sun, Star Ledger, North Jersey Herald News, and the Nutley Journal. Mailed to the Nutley Township Clerk. Advertised in the Nutley Sun on January 15, 2015, and the Herald News, January 24, 2015. Posted on the district website. This is an official meeting. Okay, in recognition to all present here, it's important that the procedures require that all cell phones, pagers be turned off or silenced for the duration of the meeting. Thank you. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Cardicello?
Here.
Mrs. Stanchek Martin? Here. Mr. Ferrara?
Here.
Mr. Klein?
Here.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Here.
Mr. Riley? Ms. Russo? Here. Mr. Scalera?
Here.
Mrs. Posada?
Here. Can I get approval of the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Vote. Correspondence, none. Presentations, none. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Posada. First and foremost, I'd like to inform the board that we have some change in leadership in our Educators Association in Nutley. Before I say the wonderful new news, I do want to thank certainly Mr. Stoffers for his time as president. Mrs. Christian Teller for her time as vice president. Mr. Ciclitano, obviously, for his time as secretary. I know Ms. Gambaro and Ms. Chaffee and Ms. Someone. And meeting with me on a regular basis and for the work that you do supporting our staff. Really appreciate that, so thank you. Also want to congratulate the same 5 people. The chairs may have changed, but the faces stay the same. Mrs. Christian Teller, congratulations on becoming president. We're told the Secret Service will be sending the detail directly to us. After recognizing some of our great staff, I certainly want to recognize our students. Lawfare recently received the results of our lawfare submissions in Radcliffe School. Grade 4 students won first place with a case called The Case of the Spoiled Vacation. Interesting title right there. Washington School grade 4 students took second place for their case of The Tale of the Dangerous Dolphin. So I look forward to meeting with some of those students, and again, congratulate all the students who participated in lawfare. It's a wonderful activity. Continuing with that, our music program, our jazz preliminaries. Our jazz ensemble participated in the jazz preliminaries this past Thursday. They received a silver medal for the jazz band. Luca Farrell earned Best Soloist. Mike Boreski won honorable mention. And the Jazz Lab earned Best Rhythm Section for the entire competition. So congratulations to everyone involved in the music program there. I'm also pleased to announce, thank you, Mr. Riley, certainly all of our teachers, starting with the elementary and all the way through the high school, that we were named again as a 2015 Best Community for Music Education. So it's an honor. A lot of hard work goes into that. I'm glad to see we are continuing that trend started, a number of years ago. Also, staying with the music department, happy to announce that Mr. John Maiello, one of our faculty, was named the JC's Educator of the Year for 2015. He will be honored with the other 4 JC honorees on April 9th, Thursday, April 9th. Tickets are available. There's information on our website. Looking forward to celebrating all the work he's done there and seeing just, again, the JCs are a wonderful organization, and I love being part of that selection process because I get insight into the town. I get to hear so many great stories about people who have given of their time. Mr. Scalera sits on the committee with me. He seems to be oftentimes the person teaching me these wonderful things about the town. But there's just so many committed people in town, and it's wonderful that we recognize them. So congratulations to all of them, and certainly to our own Mr. John Maiello. VFW Teacher of the Year Award. VFW Post 493 on Washington Avenue annually recognizes teachers, and I want to congratulate Ms. Diana Rimbaldi, who was their choice for Teacher of the Year. Recognized on April 10th, 2015. She's a first grade teacher at Yanaclaw School. I'm Mrs. Garolo. So congratulations to Mrs. Rimbaldi. We were busy this past Saturday, and Ms. Sanchik-Martin, will you be making a report on the science fair? I don't want to steal your thunder.
No, you can, I figured.
I was present here across the street at the high school as our elementary students demonstrated their science acumen. It was really a wonderful day. My favorite part, and I try to get to every single student, but listening to them talk about their different projects and how they came about the project. My favorite one was that a girl was eating jelly beans in the back seat of the car, handed some up to her mother, and her mother was so surprised. This is the girl telling the story. So surprised by the flavor because she expected a different flavor from the color that they almost had an accident in the car. And I said, that's okay, dangerous. But they turned around and she said, this is a really interesting concept, this idea of what, how we think of certain colors having certain flavors, and her experiment revolved around that. So accident turned into great learning, so I'm glad everyone was safe. I had a personal favorite. One student did an experiment having to do with hot sauce and buffalo wings. And it really touches my heart and stomach. And just a wonderful day, and thank you to the Academic Booster Club, Mr. Banya, all the faculty, volunteers that were there. It really was a wonderful afternoon, or morning into the afternoon. Also on Thursday, though, made it over here to the Third Half Club March Madness, and regardless of the snow, they were able to get the entire tournament in, and what a tournament it was. I think, honestly, if you check the stats, we had more three-pointers than they actually had in the tournament itself. It was a phenomenal display. Congratulations to everyone who participated, and certainly to Radcliffe School. We took home the trophy, and I know Mrs. Corolla was there rooting on her Yannicott students, and they gave it their all. It was a great final game, so congratulations to everyone. Just a quick update for the board again. Park administration is continuing through the end of this week for grades 3-8. We're mostly at this point in makeup. Have done a lot of traveling around the buildings and talking to students and to teachers. What is interesting, just want to share with the committee, the overwhelming feedback from students, which was not a word I was expecting, was the test was fun. That makes me a little concerned about the results, but we shall see. They seem to be enjoying taking it on the computer, though. Overwhelmingly, and all 5 of the elementary buildings talking to staff, they were appreciative of all the work that went in on the administrative side, the tech side to set up, and they kept coming back to the idea this was a much easier assessment to go through than it was paper-based. So that was interesting. I want to thank all the high school staff, Mr. Capello, certainly Mrs. Casilli, and our HIP specialists from our buildings. We were recognized by Garden State Equality, who announced on March 17th, Mr. Carnicella was with me. Where's Mr. Carnicella? There he is, thank you. Over at the high school. They held a press conference to announce a new campaign to inform and engage on the topic of equity for transgender students. There were approximately 40 Nutley high school students that were present, as well as administrators, counselors, and as I said, our entire HIP staff. The students were allowed to ask questions and be part of the presentation, which was wonderful. And just again, congratulations to the entire high school staff. We were chosen as a site to announce by GSE because of the work that we have done recently in supporting transgender students successfully. And so I want to recognize the staff for doing a wonderful job supporting all of our kids. The CUSAC evaluation, I'm happy to announce, I believe at this point, we have jumped through every hoop. We provided everything that they needed, and they came for their visits, so thank you to Dr. Villani, Ms. Hyde, who walked our visitors through the various buildings, the ed specialist and the county special ed specialist were here for their visits. All the data is supposed to be uploaded to the state. It should have been already uploaded to the state. We're waiting for the state to review the information and get back our final report. Kindergarten registration update. Overall, again, as we're comparing week to week, we're about where we normally are at this point in time. Spring Garden is a little up, and Lincoln is a little under where we normally are, but overall, I know we have some folks from different schools here, but overall, kindergarten registration is about where we are, have been for the past 3 to 4 years. Professional development, thank you to everyone on our professional development committee. Mrs. Christian Tell wears many hats, Dr. Villani, all of our administrators, teachers, staff, who will be presenting on Thursday. I know it's difficult sometimes for parents when we have these single session days, but it's critical to our development as a staff that we keep learning as professionals. And so we'll have, as we have in the past this year, teachers were able to select from different sessions, again, kind of guide their own professional development. We'll be running those all in-house at the high school. So thank you to everyone there. Language, arts, and science continue work. Re-registration update will coming up to the end of March, which is the deadline for those parents who have been informed that they either need to give us the documents or we'll move out, working with Ms. Shaman at that point to start assessing tuition and removing the students from the building on the end of the month. And just again, some important upcoming dates. As always, try and use the microphone, but also our websites. Please check the websites for information like our kindergarten orientations, Radcliffe School April 9th, Yannicott School April 21st, Spring Garden School also April 21st, Washington School the 22nd, and Lincoln School the 30th. All the information is up on the website. The Essex County Academic Awards Banquet. Every year, Essex County recognizes academic excellence at the high school level. May 5th at Menina's, which is wonderful. Our all elementary concert and art show, looking forward to that, May 28th. About 2 months coming up, I know everyone's working. I've mentioned this a few times, the Junior Olympics and Patrol Picnic, June 1st, with no rain date because we're not going to need it. It's June 5th, just in case. And we're looking forward to that rescheduled work of Mr. Riley, Sam Carella, and that combination between the township and us with this Pathways to Peace, which is an international effort recognizing peace and the efforts to achieve it, and that will be June 14th. Mr. Spizzato.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd just like to report that the 2015-16 budget and all supporting documents have been submitted to the county office for review. Once we receive approval, we are looking to advertise the budget in the Nutley Sun the week of April 6th, and the public budget hearing is set for April 27th at 6:30 in this room. A few meetings ago, I reported on the receipt of restitution for damage that was done to High Five Hill at Radcliffe School. Now, this week, we received an additional $500 in restitution payments, bringing us to a total of $1,000 for the damage. And lastly, the Moody's bond rating report has been received by the district. I shared that for brief this week with the full board. The bond rating is an A1 underlying rating with a AA3 enhanced rating. That's the same rating that the district did receive under the last refunding in 2012. The report this time, however, had an overall tone that was extremely positive, and it emphasized the district's improved financial position since 2009 when the district had a negative general fund balance. The report also notes the district's stable financial operations, conservative budgeting practices, and cost-saving initiatives. Tomorrow afternoon, I will be taking part in a conference call, a pre-pricing conference call, to discuss the general as well as specific market conditions for the bond pricing, which is scheduled for Wednesday morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee reports, Lisa.
Okay, the academic committee met on March 14th. Mr. Levine and Mr. Viemeister shared with the committee members the proposed 14-16 technology plan. The plan includes timelines for professional development, instruction, and devices. We discussed the proposed district goals and the goals history. We discussed how the district goals have evolved throughout the last 4 years to where they are right now. We also discussed the CUSAC visitations on March 11th, and we should receive a final results by April 15th. We also spoke about the proposed 15-16 12-month employee calendar, kindergarten registration, curriculum instruction, professional development, a request for an internship from Payne University, also progress of the park, professional development and field trips, and we also reviewed a letter from a concerned parent regarding banning peanuts in school. So we're going to further research that and have discussions during our next meeting about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Carnicelli.
Finance Committee met on February 17th. Mrs. James outlined potential budget cuts to reduce the deficit, proposed a tax levy for the 2015-16 budget. Mrs. Yeamans reviewed the March 23rd, 2015 finance agenda resolutions, including transfers and contract amendments. I'm sorry. This is the report. Yeah, I got it.
I thought you had 2 copies.
I did. And I looked at them, they both were the same thing. Mrs. Yeamans updated the committee on the work being done on the new office space at the middle school. The committee began reviewing projects slated for summer completion and funding sources for the projects. The committee also discussed the zoning board appeal for the bus lot, the extended day financial report. Mrs. Yeamans presented a report on the utility savings the district had realized through the SJSEM consortium's last bid. The bid is expiring in June, and the district is required to opt out of the new bid by March 27th. Based on the savings, Mrs. Yeomans recommended continuing participation. Mrs. Yeomans provided the committee with a report on the decline of solar energy credits since the high market price of 2011 and the recent stabilization of prices at $200 per credit, as a follow-up to last month's discussion on the topic, as well as the power purchase agreements for solar energy. Next meeting is scheduled, which was, it's March 17th. That was the wrong date. Yeah, April. It says March 17th.
Thank you, Mr. Costello. Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The administration meeting,
Okay.
Come on, put Charlie's talking.
the administration committee met on March 17th. We discussed the technology update. We also talked about the 12-month calendar. We discussed CUSAC. We had some discussion on the negotiations with the board is going through with the teachers right now. We talked about personnel, which some of the recommendations you'll see on your paperwork tonight. And then we talked about policies, which you'll also see presented tonight. Thank you.
Anyone else with any committee? Okay. Okay, we now come to this portion of our meeting where we allow members of the public to address the board. In this section, we allow questions or comments on only resolutions addressed in tonight's agenda. Our board regulations, 601, allot 20 minutes for these communications. Each person shall be limited to 3 minutes. We ask you to try to stay within the requirement. Speakers may speak more than once, only after all others wishing to speak on a topic have been heard. All statements will be directed to me as chairperson. No one may address board members individually. Please be reminded that if your statement is too lengthy, abusive, obscene, irrelevant, redundant, your participation may be terminated. Please remember to always state your name and address each time and every time you address the board, and sign in with Ms. Kakuza before you take the microphone. Will the first person want to be heard, please step up. On resolution items only. Seeing none, I'm going to close that and academic resolutions 1 to 3. Ms. Dancheck.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to move academic resolutions 1 through 3 as written.
Second.
Ms. Kakuza. Discussion. Any discussion? Ms. Kakuza, please.
Mr. Carnasella?
Yes.
Mrs. Dancheck Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Scalera?
Yes.
Mr. Spizzato?
Yes. Administration, Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes, Mr. President, I move resolutions 1 through 4 in administration.
Second.
Any discussion? Madeline?
Mr. Carnasella?
Yes.
Mrs. Dancheck Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Scalera?
Yes.
Mr. Spizzato?
Yes. Finance resolutions, Mr. Consella?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to move finance resolutions 1 through 6 as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Madeline?
Mr. Carnasella?
Yes.
Mrs. Dancheck Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Scalera?
Yes.
Mr. Spizzato?
Yes. Ms. Russo, do you move personnel resolutions?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to move personnel resolutions 1 and 2 as listed. I so move.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madeline?
Mr. Carnasella?
Yes.
Mrs. Dancheck Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Scalera?
Yes.
Mr. Spizzato?
Yes. Okay, in this section, we allow questions or comments on all school-related matters. Our regulations allow 30 minutes for these communications. Once again, each person shall be limited to 3 minutes. We ask you to try to stay within this requirement. As stated earlier, all statements will be directed to me as chairperson. First person wanting to speak, please step up to the mic. Signing with Mrs. Kakuza.
to 11 Lakeside Drive.
My question is regarding the retreat that was spoke about last board meeting, just following up to see if a date and time has been set for that.
This time, no. As soon as we, I know we're working on a lot.
We're looking in between this meeting and April.
Okay.
That's what we're looking at.
We're looking, as the superintendent just said, between this meeting and the next meeting. I do know that we've all been a little bit busy with, I don't want to say it, but the budget and other things that we're handling. So if Mr. Superintendent can follow up with all the board members, and let's try to get a date set before I leave for Florida. April 10th. So we need to do something. We will take care of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it, thanks.
Anyone else wish to be heard? Just have to sign in with Mrs. Kakuza. And you come on to the microphone.
Frank Cantella, 549 Bloomfield Avenue. My question is this. Do the board members, are they given cell phones? Do they have private email accounts that are BOE email accounts? Is this public information?
Board members do not have cell phones.
They do not get a cell phone from the BOE?
No, but they do have district email addresses.
And how would one get a hold of information from that?
I would assume that you could potentially Oprah.
So it's an Oprah
information,
request.
and depending on the emails themselves, they'd have to be reviewed by attorney and then redacted if necessary, but
And you'd go down to the board office to get this information?
yes, you'd actually see Ms. Kukuza.
Ms. Kakuza. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is anyone else wishing to be heard? Seeing none, I'm going to close this part. Any old business? Any new business? Okay. Now, at this point in the meeting, we are going to be going into executive session, whereas the Board of Education will be discussing matters exempt from public discussion pursuant to NJSA 4-12. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Education recess to close executive session at this time to discuss legal matters. Be further resolved that the results of the discussion will be made public by inclusion on the agenda of wait a week, this is what we're doing this one? We're coming back. All right, we will be taking action on the discussions that will be handled in executive and return back to this room to discuss it with the public. Have a
We
motion to go into
have
executive?
a time limit when we'll be back? Probably
10 minutes?
10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, 10, 15 minutes. Second, somebody seconded it? All in favor, aye? Okay, we'll be right back. Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, resolution of Madeline, roll call please.
Okay. Mr. Carnicello?
Here.
Mrs. Stanchek Martin?
Here.
Mr. Ferraro?
Here.
Mr. Klein?
Here.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Here.
Ms. Russo?
Here.
Mr. Scalera?
Here.
Mr. Sposato?
Here. Okay, so we have a resolution.
I have a resolution, Mr. President, Finance Resolution Number 7, approval of services. Be it resolved that the Board of Education retains the services of Pyro Zinner, Cifelli, Paris, and Jenna Temple as special counsel to review an ethics complaint investigation at a rate of $300 an hour, inclusive of expenses. I so move.
Second.
Second, all, Madeline?
Mr. Carnicello?
Yes.
Mrs. Stanchek Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ferraro?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Scalera?
Yes.
Mr. Sposato?
I'm going to abstain on this. Okay, whereas the Board of Education will be discussing matters exempt from public discussion pursuant to NJSA 10-4-12, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Education will recess to close executive session at this time to discuss student matters, student and personal issues, and legal matters. Be it further resolved that the results of this discussion will be made public by inclusion on the agenda of a subsequent meeting of the Board of Education, or when the reason for discussing such matters in closed session no longer exists. Motion to go into closed.
Motion.
Second? All in favor? We won't be returning.